Don't make your garage garage. Make it great with Precision Garage Door.
All right.
I still got to cook it some
little
more.
Clunky.
See what I was going for there was like...
You're fired.
You're fired. Garage. Get it? Like rage. And then garage. So you see where I was going there. And they say great, but that's Kellogg's. That's Tony the Tiger.
Use precision when calling this number 407-710-BDMS.
Yeah, that's 407-710, the letter B, the letter D, the letter M, the letter S. And you'll go right to Big Tim Murphy, who can get you, whether you need a brand new garage door, you might need what you and I got, the Tom and Dan Silent Package, which is a brand new Wi-Fi controlled motor, these little sleeves that go on all the wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, they grease that thing up good. They
new
balance
wheels.
it.
Yeah.
It's virtually
silent.
Silent.
It's the difference.
Hence the name Silent Package.
I'm telling you, I've gotten tons of emails, and then like Seth Petrozelli got it, our buddy Tony Rage got it.
Surprisingly awesome to have.
Everybody who got one it's your number one dad dream.
It's
because
shocking.
You show people, they're like, wow, look how silent my garage door. It seems like it's not a big deal, but coming from me, I was like, whoa, this is awesome.
Well, saving wear and tear on your door. See, I bought my home bank owned, like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And the garage door that I had was not balanced. The motor that I had was bad, and it was basically destroying my garage door.
Yeah.
So Precision came in. By the way, license bonded. All their trucks are Precision logoed. I mean, they do everything top notch. They're amazing. But they came in, they repaired everything, balanced the door, put in that brand new Wi-Fi system. I can open it from my phone. It's amazing. You will not regret taking a chance with Precision Garage Door.
When we left on vacation, serious, we were like a mile away from the house, and then we were like, did we close the garage door? Because I was loading all the camping stuff, and all I had to do is open my app and be like, yep, close it.
Yep.
Because you could see, and if you didn't close it, you can close it on your app.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Have you ever done this, Hot Shot?
Mm-hmm.
You ever gone into the garage to make yourself like a secret White Claw or a secret Tito's?
Yeah.
And
5 or 6 times.
And you turn the light on from your app?
Oh, be
I
never done that.
So I go down to my fridge because I have the secret fridge in there, and I turn the light on because I can. If I turn it on with my app, I don't believe it lets my wife know that I'm turning the light on.
All right, I like that.
That's a elevated tip for you.
They do a great job, and only their employees are going to show up. The Precision Door vans or trucks.
No, they don't outsource. It's just them, and they've hired a lot of BDMs, including Big Tim Murphy, who, by the way, that's who you're going to talk to. 407-710-BDMS. That's BDMs. It's 710 BDMs.
Yep, 5% off a brand new door if you tell them you're a Tom and Dan listener. But check out Precision Door of Central Florida.
In the boy, the larynx and the vocal cords change so that his voice acquires the deeper pitch of a man's voice. The shoulders become broader, thighs grow longer, and the muscles become stronger. Hair begins to grow on the face, under the arms, and in the pubic area.
You are a man. And in taking on the role of the world's second greatest gender, you must adhere to A Gentleman's Guide to Manliness.
It's A Gentleman's Guide to Manliness. I'm Steve Kramer.
Tom Van.
Dan Dennis. Happy New Year, Stephen.
Happy New Year.
I don't normally call you Stephen, but I like it. I think
right.
Is it okay if I start calling you Stephen rather than Steve?
Very few people do that, and I'm good with it because the people that do it are pretty close with me.
Here's one of...
my mom did, my wife, you.
Stephen.
Yeah.
What's your middle name?
Daniel. You know that.
I do know that.
We're Daniels. We have that in common.
We do have that in common. What do you have in common with Tom? I would say nothing.
That's not true. We have a lot in common.
Oh, yeah. Me and Steve...
You're orb riders.
I think
No, that's not it. I think we share a lot of common views on life and business and a lot of things.
Yeah.
Silent sex partners.
We also...
You guys are very silent during coitus.
Oh, yeah. Like commanders.
Well, Steve
like commandos, right?
Commander.
No. Hands on my hips.
Hands on the hips and just all business.
I look at the chandelier. I don't even look down.
And the fact that he has a chandelier, that's another thing you guys have in common. You have chandeliers and you have chandeliers.
How do you look at the chandelier? Where is the chandelier? I don't understand. Where does the chandelier lay in this room?
You don't have multiple chandeliers?
He's actually having sex with the chandelier. That's the
You have chandelier sheets. So when you're face down, you're good. And then you have a chandelier above the bed. And then
I feel like the whole idea
A mirror behind the bed so you can see the chandelier that's
a whole
above the
idea
bed.
of a chandelier is ridiculous.
I just want to see
You
the
don't like
chandelier at
them?
all times.
You know,
I'm a fan.
I love chandeliers.
Hold on a second. This is where me and Steven will have our Daniel connection.
Well, we're aesthetic. We are, we have good taste and we like beautiful things.
I did something over the week, over the break, over the holiday break, that Tom will be proud of me and Steven will be proud. I think you both will be proud of me.
We have that in common.
To not be made fun of Tom anymore because he's been like laying into me because, on the show, I've been kind of known as the techie guy. I'm like right in front of me. I've got an Osmo Pocket.
As soon as I walk in, you're techno crazy.
Yeah.
You've got 5 screens in front of
An
you. You've got
Osmo
that.
3, an iPad. I got my laptop out. I got multiple computers everywhere, webcams.
Yeah.
I'm into that stuff. That's my thing. But I don't use the Amazon Echo for anything other than just music. Tom can turn his jacuzzi on. Tom can turn his lights on. You can set the mood. You can do music. What else can you do with it? There's other stuff. You do garage
And then
door.
there's me. I won't even use it because I'm too. I know
paranoid the government was
no, not the government, but I know
Like a true commander.
I know the hacking and the background.
Yeah. And then you do, what do? You do air conditioning, right? Heat. I don't do any of that, dude. I literally just use the Echo for music. So, over the break, I installed smart lights in both the IKEA. Now, it is a chandelier, but it's an IKEA chandelier. It's cheap.
yeah.
It's like $75.
You can get an expensive IKEA chandelier.
You can, but I didn't. It's the one that looks like, I have the one that looks like the Death Star.
Okay.
From
I
Star
know the one
Wars.
you're talking about.
And you can pull these levers and open it up, or you can close it. It's really cool. Maisie loves it. So I've got that, and then I put a smart light in that, and then I put a smart light in my lamp, and now I can change the color of the lights just by my voice.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And I got to tell you, you were right. I was wrong. It's a game changer. Wasn't that expensive. Super easy to do.
Yeah. Also, the thing I use the most is the thermostat. Yelling at that seems to be the most convenient out of all the Alexa things.
That's next.
So,
I just get up and walk to my thermostat. I mean, I have it programmed. It's programmable, but if I need it like cooler on the moment,
you're a walker. I
You're
know
a walker?
I
I'm a
know
walker.
you're a walker. That's how you know. That changes.
Chandeliers can get crazy. Some of those chandeliers could be $100,000, $200,000. Have you ever seen that? If you go to New Orleans and you go to Royal Street, there's a bunch of antique stores, art galleries, etc. And there's some stores that have chandeliers in them, and they're beautiful. I mean, these chandeliers, and I made friends with the guy that owns it, and he was telling me about how they ship it. I mean, it's crazy what they do.
Do they have to disassemble each? What would that even be called? Each crystal?
They basically like hang it inside of the box, and then use packing and foam, etc. to set it still. And a lot of times they do a box inside of a box where it's hung on the inner box. It's pretty crazy. But some of these chandeliers can be, like I said, $150,000.
That's ridiculous.
I have an idea for
It's
a
all
show.
relative.
I have an idea for a show. It will be called, I don't know. Working title is Chandelier Caper, where I give Travis Butler, our trusted sales man here at TND Media, I give him a $100,000 chandelier in a van, and he has to drive it and get it there in all one piece from the East Coast to the West Coast. It's a 7-part Disney Plus miniseries.
Oh, Chandelier Run.
Chandelier Run.
Chandelier
There
Run,
it is.
perfect name.
Chandelier
Trademark.
Run, and
Trademark.
and he has to drive it from East Coast to West Coast, and he cannot lose or break or mess
Even
up
one crystal.
Even one crystal.
And we can't do too much packing. It's got to be like very minimal packing. It hangs in the back of the van.
The Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live. If you ever want to watch the show, we do video, and you can chat too. They say one day. He's got to do it in one day.
The East to West. I mean,
That
I think
can't
it's
happen.
Physically
You
possible.
got to give him 4 days.
He's got to stay up. He's got to stay up.
I've done that drive. If you stay up and
No.
drive the entire time from here to LA,
It takes more than 24 hours.
He's got
It's about
one
72
day.
hours.
That no, but he can use a plane. He's just got to get it loaded and not messed up.
No.
He can use a helicopter.
but
He
no
can
packing
use,
materials.
He can use anything he wants. He's just got to get it East Coast to West Coast in one day and have it be perfect.
I'm surprised there's
What does he win? His freedom.
because he's in prison right
Yeah,
now.
because he's a slave to the company.
I'm surprised there's never been a rapper named Chandelier, right? It makes sense
There's
that
gotta
There has.
be.
There has,
Really?
absolutely. We just
A female
We're
rapper?
just not familiar. No.
It'd be better if it was a female rapper,
No.
right?
Yeah,
Because Chandelier is like inherently feminine. Chandelier is the Latin. Chandelier is the boy. Chandelier is the girl.
Of all the names, like you think that Chandelier would someone would.
The Latin is Chandelinus.
It was. Don't
And then
never talk
the
about
plural
the
that is
Chandelier.
Chandelier.
So okay, I want to ask you guys about this because we got knives.
Chandelier.
But the plural is Chandelier. It ends in an AE.
Chandelier. Chandelier.
I actually think I'm pluralizing that properly.
So we got
was just a crystal.
knives and watches to talk about, but
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys about
Steve's
this.
packing today. Steve's also got an AR in the corner. He's freaking out.
I watched this Dave Chappelle PBS Mark Twain Award special.
Oh man, my wife's going to
night.
be so happy that you watched that because
your wife told my wife about
Well,
it.
that's been out for a little while.
Yeah.
He gave a great speech for that about speech, freedom of speech.
Well, I think
it's about the
just-
First Amendment and the Second Amendment, right?
it was out,
Yeah,
but
the quote on that.
it just aired, I believe.
Yes.
So it's relatively new, and kudos to PBS for actually not censoring it and letting it roll because he got in the. In the word jungle there a little bit, and it was good, really good.
I think they may have bleeped the F word, but
They
only
let the N word fly.
Yeah.
I know that.
And F word for gays.
Yeah, they let
too,
that fly.
because they were kind of showing that. Anyway,
That was the only part that I flagged for. I was like, "Wow, PBS, look at them
I'm
go!"
surprised. Yeah,
You know, yeah.
But anyway, the what I wanted to ask you guys. By the way, the whole thing is put together very well. It's edited brilliantly, and the fact that
they do a
it's
great
not-
job on those.
It's not just the award show. They they cut back to like his. He does some. He goes to a stand-up club the night before with all the celebrities,
Like in DC where he started.
Yes,
You
and
know.
then they were editing back and forth between like the stand-up club, the awards show, and it kind of just put like the best of all together. It wasn't this long, lengthy award show that you're saying. It's really good.
The context is important too because this happened right after Sticks and Stones. That was a stand-up special that I think really pushed some boundaries. Pushed current boundaries, and he got a lot of pushback. That was the one that had like a 0% from critics, but a 99% from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes, at least initially.
Yeah.
And then the quote that he had that kind of made headlines at the time for this Mark Twain Award was, "I don't get mad at him. I don't hate on him." When he was talking about comedians that he knows to be racist, he said, "It's not that serious. The First Amendment is first for a reason. The Second Amendment is just in case the first don't work out or doesn't work out."
I like it better when you talk like Dave Chappelle. Please continue.
Well, it's a quote. It says, "The first doesn't work out."
I know.
So.
Well, this is Chandelier Chappelle.
So my question to you guys: by the way, brilliant idea by PBS. I mean, obviously he deserves it because I didn't even know what the Mark Twain Award was, and then I looked back at the prior recipients of it, and it made sense. I was like, oh, okay. But Dave Chappelle, I guess, one of the youngest people to receive it.
Correct.
So, and he definitely deserves it. But everybody was calling him the GOAT, right? And I was like, whoa, I'm surprised that that many people and that many celebrities, like other celebrities and stuff, like this guy's the greatest of all time stand-up comedian. And I was like, whoa, that's like a high honor to give with all like. But then I started thinking about it. I was
for
like,
the moment, for sure.
But but I was thinking, but no,
he's the bravest right now.
He was talking
For sure.
Yeah.
Greatest of all time insinuates all time, and better than Eddie Murphy, George Carlin stuff.
Richard Pryor. There's some really great.
But then I
Red
started
Fox.
thinking about it, and I was
Woody
like,
Allen.
man, because like, say you're Eddie Murphy's, like, that his Raw stand up, like exploded his career, and then from there, because
And if it came out now, it would explode his career again in a different way.
yeah, but think about this.
Probably, yeah.
The business was back then as a stand-up. You use stand-up to get notoriety to get into movies, and that's how you made your money. You know, that's how Eddie Murphy made his money, and he went from there, and then it's like a Beverly Hills Cop, and then the Dr. Doolittles and the Shreks, and they make him.
Dave did it a completely different way.
Well, this leads me to believe it is true where he is the greatest stand-up of all time because they started going through his career and they were talking about, Neil.
He wound up going from movies to stand up more.
Well,
Yeah.
they like the only real movie.
He was in Con Air, right?
No.
He was in Con Air.
Was he?
Yeah.
I believe
he was in Half Baked. He was in Con Air. He was in some. He was in some good movies
You've
too.
Got Mail.
He started
with Tom Hanks.
He's like
his best friend.
He started his career real young, like right out of high school. Like he was doing stand-up comedy at 16, 17 in the clubs. But I started thinking about this. Like once he started like getting famous, and then obviously the Chappelle Show blew up. Like he talks about walking away from the money and then coming back. Like if you look at it,
he got the last laugh on that because he turned down $50 million at the time, but then he got $100 million or something from Netflix for his group of stand-up specials. Yeah, it was something close to that. He was in The Nutty Professor. If you remember, he was the stand-up comic that tears up Professor Klump.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy actually talks
He's
about...
so fat his belt's the equator.
Yeah, he like Eddie Murphy talks about how he thought Dave Chappelle would be perfect for that role or anything. But if you look at his career, is actually the greatest stand-up because he made all his money doing stand-up comedy in a world now where you could do that. And he talks about, hey, he's like, I'm not done yet. And now he's the biggest stand-up of our time. And he has the potential to come out with, 10 more specials? I mean, there's unlimited.
How old is he now?
44.
44.
Like, young. I mean,
God, he's only a year older than I am.
I mean, think about it, even if he decided to work the next 6 years, and it seems like he can turn out these specials pretty quick, because at this point, everybody just likes what Dave Chappelle has to say, so it's not like he even has to, like, form a super tight show with Joe. Like, I think he's get up there and, like,
I think he's the man of the moment, but I mean, I still think his career isn't done, and it's tough. It's tough to, with him being the hot comedian of the moment and the number one guy of right now for sure. It's still, he's up against some greats. I mean, he's up against Pryor. He's up against Lenny Bruce, and he's up against George Carlin. And those guys, I mean, even though they're not as relevant now in the history of stand-up, I mean, those guys are cultural touchstones for decades.
Let me answer your question though about, like, you were talking about GOAT.
Yeah,
and I want to go back to that because I thought that was interesting, because like what Steven's saying, and he lists some really amazing comedians, but I think I have to, when somebody asks me who's the GOAT, like who's the greatest of all time, I mean, you could debate, well, maybe you couldn't. I was going to use the analogy of like a Tom Brady, but it's kind of hard to debate whether or not he's not the greatest
because of his achievements.
Because they're objective achievements. Because you can go objectively, you have these awards and these statistics.
Dave has always resonated with me more than any of the other comics that Steven said. Maybe Carlin, but I'm not as well versed in any of that. It just didn't.
We're also biased. We're more in touch with this stuff. We're more fans.
Right. I think when you say GOAT, I think you got to go with what resonates with you and your age. And like I will it change? I don't think it will, though.
It's inherently subjective, but I mean, there is some objective measure. It's maybe the impact on the world, the impact on society, the impact on other comedians. So that's why you have people like Pryor and Carlin and Bruce, like typically in everybody's list of the top three, because Lenny Bruce breaks open all of the doors, basically lays the foundation. Pryor is a freaking genius. Watch his stuff now; it's still brilliant. Carlin is timeless too.
True.
I mean, and those guys inspired Chappelle and all of these guys.
100%. Yeah, and then you're right. There's subjectivity. I mean, you ask old Mimo, and Jeff Dunham is the greatest comedian of all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because there's like society at large, and then there's people more into it like us.
And I'm not talking about the subjectivity of his art, which is a stand-up, because everybody likes every different thing. So you can't just say that. But with the way his career went, and the fact that he was willing to turn down an insane amount of money at the time for whatever these reasons were, because he didn't want to basically be a slave to the show.
But a lot of them were up here too. I mean, a lot of them were psychological. I think he was burnt out and overwhelmed. I mean, he talks about that in his first comeback about kind of getting into a better place again.
And even Neil Brennan was like, the Chappelle in the special, this PBS special, he's like, the Chappelle show was not fun. He's like, it wasn't fun to do. It was real, stressful and a pain pain in the ass at the time. And
that show now,
yeah.
I don't think it can come out now.
But it still resonates with people because, like, the chat room, twitch.tv/Tom and Live.
Genius. It was brilliant.
Norm says, I haven't seen any of Chappelle's stand-up, but his show alone is greatest of all time worthy. I agree.
His stand-up is great. And
greatest of all time, but not for stand-up comedy because it's a sketch show.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, there's some stand-up bits in it, but, monologues.
And it seems like, and I don't know if this...
I could make an argument. It would probably make you and Steven angry, but I could make an argument for Jeff Dunham is just categorized wrong. Because if you said if you said greatest of all time ventriloquist, I don't know, man. You might have to...
most successful,
he's definitely the most successful.
Yeah, he's the greatest.
He may be I guess
there's some
be judging...
really good greats. I mean, Joan Rivers. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't underestimate her either. She's very relevant. She broke a lot of boundaries.
She was one of the only people that was, I think, funny until the day she died.
Yeah.
She never seemed to lose an edge.
But
Rickles,
that's not even her peak. I mean,
Rickles was kind of like that for me too. Don Rickles was funny until he died.
And then there's Steve Martin. I mean, a whole different vein of comedy, but
vein.
very
And then their careers,
and Eddie Murphy. I mean, you can't forget him.
It's hard to judge because, like, again, you couldn't do as well just in stand up back in the day. The platform wasn't there. The business model wasn't there. Like, there wasn't any Netflix or on demand.
You couldn't aggregate millions and millions of listeners to monetize it. You could go on tour. You could work the clubs, and maybe you could do that better back then than now. But the bigger guys definitely can make more money now because of the way that they can scale the audience.
Getting the way to make money was getting into movies, and then you had to sell your soul.
Or TV. Worked for Seinfeld.
I mean, you had to sell your soul a little bit. I'm sure Eddie Murphy did a lot of movies just for the money. I mean, Kevin Hart did.
He had 10 kids. You saw his. Did you see his SNL?
It
was great. I loved it.
When someone gives you, like, hey, here's $50 million, but you got to play a doctor to talking animals, you're like, all right. It's like, at a certain point, you're like, this is kind of corny and stupid, but I'll do it for $50
funny line that really stuck out for me in his monologue was when and it's so simple. It's not even
Eddie
like
Murphy?
a joke. Yeah, Eddie Murphy, when he said, money don't crack. And I just started laughing, and I'm like, that is
good.
So perfectly
Eddie Murphy
said.
was always my favorite growing up. I mean, I loved him. I listened to his tapes over. I wore out those tapes.
Although
in my Walkman at camp.
If you're going to maybe break down, and listen, I have no idea about the intricacies of stand up and the art, and I'm not.
Well, you don't do it.
I don't do it. But it seems like that Dave Chappelle has this unique ability to almost improv to a certain extent his stand-up act and just like on stage, like, and Neil Brennan was talking about it and stuff, like, it seems like he goes up there with an idea of what he's going to say and is able to string it all together in a perfectly formatted way that you're like, wow, it was almost like he scripted it and
he
he's
reminds
not doing
me,
it. It's like, wow, that's
this
an amazing.
This might sound weird, but he reminds me a lot of George Carlin. The way that they approach it and the style and the commentary, it just, I don't know why.
And both of these guys remind you of who? Mark Twain. I mean, it's a perfect person for the. Because Twain was when he'd go on these speaking engagements. When he's doing the frog jumping of Calaveras County or whatever. Like he's doing all the crazy stories that he had, and he's writing all that. He would go on these speaking engagements, and I think a lot of the people would say exactly the same thing. He has an amazing way to tell a tale. He can start at the beginning and kind of tie a bow on it at the end. What an elegant, communicator.
And to be able to say something funny and say something poignant is, man, that's hard to do, and an impressive talent that I respect that Dave Chappelle has, because he often says things that we were like, oh, that's a smart, interesting way to look at this. Also being hilariously funny. And so I'm like...
So Mark Twain's smart, though, going with the stage name, the nom de plume, right? Because Samuel Clemens not as catchy as Mark Twain, right?
I don't know. I kind of like the name Samuel Clemens. I always wondered why he changed his name. Or not changed, or took on a moniker, or whatever you want to call it.
Probably was because I think he was a journalist, probably doing a lot of satire. I'm sure there's a reason.
Did you ever think about changing your name?
Never.
Did you ever think about changing your name?
I mean, I had a DJ name, or
no. I mean, there was no reason to.
I didn't like my name originally because my parents had pushed my first name and middle name together, and it was Dan Lee. spelled capital D-A-N, capital L-E-E, one word. And I was always like, I hate this. Yeah, Danley. Like think Stanley, but it's Danley.
Yeah. I can see why you don't like that.
Yeah,
but,
it's lame.
But that's what they called you. That wasn't your legal name, right?
I mean, it wasn't my legal name, but it's how I learned to
Danley.
like it. Yeah. It's not on my birth certificate, but I learned to write.
Does your mom call you that ever?
Oh yeah,
that's like your mom's name for you.
She'll still call me Dan Lee. Yeah, It's weird.
My mom's name was Lee, middle name.
Oh really?
Yeah, Rhonda Lee.
Oh, that's a good
Rhonda Lee Ray.
Sounds like she could do some sock hopping.
Yeah. Know? Not really, because her dad was the high school football coach.
That's a song.
That doesn't work well. And a giant of a man.
Rhonda Lee, don't you ever leave me, Rhonda Lee.
They all have like those names that are very southern. Rhonda Lee Ray, Milton. I forget his middle name.
Well, girls sound like they can dance in a poodle skirt. Boys that have names like that sound like they're going to assassinate the president. You know what I mean? Like when you're like James Ray.
Yeah.
Earl
R-E-Y, different spelling.
Earl Lee, you sound like you're doing something really.
My uncle's Ricky Ray. Ricky Ray.
Yeah, anytime you implement the middle name, it sounds like a shooter.
Yes, as soon as you add the third name, that is when you're doing the perp walk, we're doing a news story on it.
That's not good.
Let's talk about knives.
Yeah, that's right, because
we got to take a break.
Okay. That's when we get back.
Perfect time. We'll transition to
gentlemanly gifts.
I'm going to walk you through my knife that I created. I actually got to build it online. It will be delivered tomorrow. I'm so excited. And Steven got a gift. He got a new knife and a watch. We'll talk about that. We'll take a quick break. You're listening to A Gentleman's Guide to Manliness. A Mediocre Time, a corporate time with Tom and Dan, BDM members, all of our guys know there's one thing that we strive to let you guys know about anybody that advertises with our company is if you let them know that you listen, you're a member, that you're involved with us, they're going to treat you better. Point blank, period.
Exactly, and that's what everybody wants, that VIP experience, that extra little attention that you get when they know, our advertisers know that you're a Tom and Dan
listener. It takes the awkwardness away, and you get right to business, and normally with really wonderful people.
And that's what you'll get at Blanchard Insurance. It's BlanchardInsurance.com, 407-788-8640. They got offices in Altamont Springs, Daytona, Land O'Lakes, St. Pete. They're getting more. They're going to give you that VIP experience. First, they're going to give you the best rate. And how many of you guys know your insurance agent? How many of you guys know that the policy that you bought for your house, your vehicles, your boat, whatever, covers everything you need it to cover? Blanchard Insurance is going to make sure that all the policies you get through them are going to fit your needs and fit your needs specifically, and you're going to have an agent there that you can call personally at any time 24/7. So that's why you use Blanchard Insurance. That's why Tom and Dan, T&D Media, is going to use Blanchard Insurance from now on.
That's what we say. Like, you guys are part of our family, and we're happy to bring Blanchard into the family, and now they're going to treat you like family.
BlanchardInsurance.com. Welcome back to A Gentleman's Guide. Tom Van.
Dan Dennis.
Steve Kramer.
Let's talk knives, boys.
So I saw you posting on it in the on the BDM page about looking for a knife, and everybody kicked in their 2 cents. What did you ultimately decide on?
Okay, I'll like what you got. You maybe show yours, and I'll pull up my post here.
So mine. I'd been looking at for a long time. I first ran across them from talking to Scotty at Orlando Watch Company, right? Because he does a lot of gentlemanly gifts, right? He does watches, overall jewelry, but mainly watches, and he does pens and knives, which, a lot of guys don't do a lot of jewelry, but those are typically things that professionals might be interested in, or guys that, have that aesthetic sense might be interested in a nice knife or a nice pen or a nice watch. So I've been researching this brand, William Henry, for a long time, and I've been studying it, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try to get one on eBay. And then I've been watching eBay for like a year. I had a watch alert on it, and I could not find one for like the deal that I wanted. And what I finally figured out is like, all right, well, that makes it a good buy because that means you've got a good resale value on it. If they don't sell too cheap very often, then you're doing a good job because maybe you can not lose a lot or maybe even make money when you go to sell it. But I've been looking and on the hunt, and then sure enough, my wife had paid attention.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
She actually found probably one of the best deals out there and nailed down this really great knife. I'm going to show it to you guys.
Oh, super pretty.
It's got a copper wave Damascus in it. So Damascus steel. And then it's got these garnets for the button that opens and closes, and for the grab button, I forget what you call it, on the blade, and then it's inlaid with woolly mammoth tooth.
And it's got a bolo tie on the end of it.
Yeah, and it's got a leather clip on it.
That's fancy, Steve.
Yeah, it's really cool. I would. It was a perfect gift because I wasn't about to pull the trigger and get it for myself. And then, what she told me? She said, if you don't like it, it's all right because you can sell it for more than I bought it for. Which is good because I try to think about owning things as not the cost of acquisition, the cost of ownership. You know what I mean? Spend money on something and, it might be a higher cost to get it. But in the end, if it lasts longer or it delivers a better result, or if you can, if when you're done with it, you can sell it and not lose money, that means you have a low cost of ownership, even if it's a higher cost of acquisition.
Yes.
Like suits are like that. Spend a little more money, your suit will last a lot longer. Like I've got suits that are 8 years old, and they look great.
Beautiful, dude.
Now,
isn't it?
Yeah, and I love the way that it opens and closes.
It's
so
smooth.
gentle and smooth. Check that out, dude.
Let me, because I feel like...
Perfect gift. I loved it.
Yeah, this is a super...
I'm obsessed with
fancy
knives lately, and that's
me
what
too.
That's what I got
I've
for
always
Christmas.
loved them.
It's the only thing I got for Christmas. Because,
What did you get?
A knife. It's this one right here.
That's super nice,
I
too.
got to build it. And
With the logo.
Yeah, so I put the BDM logo on it for
Nice.
Tom and Dan, and then I kind of made it like a little more utility to kind of carry around here and stuff like that, because I used to always carry a knife, but I loaned it out to somebody, and then they broke the tip off of it.
That sucks.
Yeah,
I've always carried it. I mean, I always carried it for utility and security, right? Those two things.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather...
Not so much security, but it is nice
especially
to have.
in Gainesville, like if I was walking at night, walking home from the bar or club or whatever from downtown, I wanted to... I like
walk in there and stab some people like Screech did.
Hard to stab someone, just in general.
Stabbing is hard, yeah.
It's one of those things that
I always feel like a knife for me wouldn't be much for me stabbing, but if somebody was like holding me down, I'd hopefully be able to do that shaky hand move where I reach down and
get your knife
and get my knife and then I would start cutting their fingers so they'll let me go.
So
this is like jewelry, though. I mean, it's really cool. It's a great knife. It's a great blade.
It's a gentleman's knife.
It's a great blade, great knife. So I was super excited to get it.
Let me ask you guys this, because
it comes in a case, so you clip it on your.
It dawned on me that Steve, you and Daniel appreciate certain things that I don't.
Like what I really like about that is the little garnet button. Like, that's pretty awesome.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be there, but it is, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think is it a personality trait? Because I often don't understand if I am like other people. I know I am, because a lot of BDMs and our listeners tell me like I'm like you, the way you think or whatever, just based on the show. But I don't garner any enjoyment out of like fine craftsmanship or like the way things are made or the quality, because you guys, you look at the knife, Steve, you own the knife, you get I
love it.
You get an appreciation from owning it, and you should do that if you have that trait. But is it a trait that it's kind of like seeing the blue dress or green dress, or like, is it the way my brain is wired?
My dad's like you. My dad,
I think it works both ways. Let me give you an example, and you tell me. I'll throw this out for both of you guys, and you tell me if this is the same thing.
Okay.
Attention to detail. So as much as I really dig Steven's, I would call that a very gentleman's guide knife. That is the epitome of like a gentleman's knife. A little bit fancy, a little bit of utility, but it's Damascus steel, which is pretty much,
and a lot of guys love it. I mean, that's why Orlando Watch Company sells them, right? Is because they can move them, because a lot of guys love that stuff and have got, they're going to go get one. That it makes sense. The same guys that are looking for nice watches are looking for nice knives.
But there's woolly mammoth, tusk on there. There's the little silver braid on the leather bound little loop that goes through the end of it. There's a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah.
So for me, I would take that knife out, just sitting somewhere and just take it out and look at it and really appreciate and really finally look at it, right? But in the
it's like you're the same way with Red Dead Redemption too. You're making you're going shopping for your guys' outfits. You're like getting the spurs that are.
But it can be bad. Remember when you and I were moving some lights and a light cord swung down and it chipped the paint on the side of my Vespa. Now, was there anything structurally wrong with the Vespa? The answer is no. Was it a tiny paint chip? Yeah, almost virtually microscopic, but I could see it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, it is the same thing. Loving automobiles too. I mean, the same guys that do this are more likely to collect cars.
But that detail I'm talking about, that appreciation I feel like it can almost become, because I wouldn't, like that knife, I don't even think I'd use that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd be worried about I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
I wonder if
even pressing the garnet button to close it, I was like,
but it's meant to be used.
Right.
I felt the same way, and I was like reminded myself, like, you're meant to use these
It's a
things.
knife, yeah.
It's not just for decoration. And I did.
tool.
I used it to cut open my sack of firewood the other day.
There you go.
I mean,
But-
cut tags off shirts, all that.
It's like
Open packages.
only manly stuff.
I don't have the it honestly, if I had that
Man,
knife,
you're you. It's okay.
No.
Everybody's different.
but I wonder if people should keep that in mind when they're buying something, because there's a big difference in utility and like craftsman. Because honestly, like
Sometimes
you can
I
buy
admire-
a $10 knife that will cut things.
You just get a
Sometimes-
buck knife up at Ace Hardware that our box cutter is fine.
yeah.
you know?
Sometimes I admire that about you. I admire that about my dad. Like, if my dad buys a vehicle, he's not buying it because it's a beautiful car or because it's stylish or classic or whatever. He's buying it because it has utility. To him, it's just like a refrigerator,
It's a tool.
and he will drive it forever. He drove a 1982 Ford F-150, until it died. You know what I mean? And like
I
for
admire that
curtains,
too, yeah.
he would make. He'd take sheets for curtains if he needed to. You know what I mean? He'd do whatever. It's just he's not programmed that way. He uses stuff as utility. He's a utilitarian kind of guy, and it's very similar. He doesn't really. He likes some music, but he's not into music. He's a lot like you in that way.
Now I like,
And I like that about him.
Like, I like having a new truck, and I like new things, and I like nice things. It's just the things that if you look at it and you're like, this was handcrafted, this has rare elements to it, the steel, the mammoth tooth. They look at the craftsmanship, look at the way it's designed, and I'm looking at it, and I get zero like my needle
No
doesn't
needle,
move.
yeah.
No, it's just
Nothing
nothing.
stands
It's
Yeah.
like now I understand it, but if you got to
had
appreciate
that knife and you open, let's say the Amazon box came bringing some sodas to the studio,
Yeah.
you'd open the box with the knife, and would you leave the sticky from the tape on the blade and just close it and put it in your pocket?
I wouldn't even care about it.
What
It doesn't
about thinking?
matter.
What does it?
I wouldn't
Does
even
it give
bring
you
it to
thrill
work.
to think
I
of it
forget.
like as a trophy? Does that, like, for some guys that like the beauty of stuff? For some guys, it's more like about the trophy, like the he with the most toys wins kind of mentality. Like, all right, maybe I don't appreciate the beauty of this or the essence, or the aesthetic, but I've got the best. I've got the best toys. Does that give you a thrill?
Yeah, because that's
Like, is that
going
how
back
you
to-
are with watches?
That's going back to watches. Like the only
You
like,
want it because you want the win. You want the trophy.
Yes, I want
All
a
right.
trophy on my wrist that people look at and be like, "Oh, this guy successful."
Yeah, but that knife's the same way.
Yeah, it is.
but not as much as
Not
like,
as visible
No,
for you?
and it doesn't. And it doesn't cost as much either.
because you'd have to.
I mean, it's all relative.
True.
If someone saw that knife, they would have no idea.
This was the other thing I got
If someone
from,
saw you a Rolex, then
I
they
see
just
what
say,
you're saying.
you know,
You'd almost have to be like a knife guy, and I'm becoming, I think, a knife guy. So as soon as
Yeah.
I saw it in the case, I'm like, oh yeah.
I mean, I've been for a long time. I mean, my uncle, who was like had a dojo or whatever, had Chinese and Japanese weapons.
You have a sword in your office. That's the Game of Thrones.
Of course, I have
the
swords
wolf
everywhere.
Sword.
I'm like Dwight from The Office. I have swords everywhere. There's like machetes.
That makes you a
There's
little
machetes
crazy, right?
under my mattress. There's a katana.
Here it is.
There's
Here,
a
this is
katana
what you
under my
wanted for
bed.
the new year, you
like in
mother
my
effers.
closet by my front door. There's like a knife right. I've got them everywhere. I've got wakizashis. I've got katanas.
Your grandpa used to hide knives and guns all over his house, right?
more guns.
Okay.
Knives were for the gays.
Well, I'm not going to tell you that.
That's what he said.
I'm not going to tell you about the guns.
Knives are for toast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you about the guns. Yeah, but they're cool.
They are cool.
I've got a Civil War sword. That's a good one too.
There's a reason why.
Confederate.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no,
we know.
it is-
I'm joking.
No, I'm not. I don't have any. Anyway,
It's got blue blood.
it's actually a Union naval sword.
I'm messing with you, Steve.
I know. I don't care. I'm just saying. There's nothing wrong with having either of those things.
So my knife gets delivered tomorrow. You want to know what I got? I got
Yeah.
a Benchmade. And I can't remember the name of the particular blade, but it's a Benchmade. I think it's called it's not the Griptilian. That's what I've always had, is a mini Griptilian. I went for a little bit larger knife this time, and the handle is jade. The
It's
blade,
jade?
It's jade. And the
Wow. Do you know if it's? I know this is getting really detailed. Do you know if it's nephrite or jadeite? Jade is usually one of those two, I think.
I believe it's jadeite.
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
The blade
I saw it. It looked really cool.
The blade is not polished. It's more of a matte finish, like a gray.
Like carbon almost.
Yeah, like a matte finish and the blade's polished, and then it has the BDM logo laser etched on the blade, so it won't rub off. You know, it might wear, but you'll still be able to see it. And then I color matched the spine of the knife to the actual logo, the BDM logo. So the logo's white and the spine is white with the green jade and the gray blade.
I wish it was here now because I want to see it.
Now, a lot of people said, well, I don't like it's a little light. There's a reason for that, because I've dropped knives before in the grass, and next thing you know, if your handle's blade and your blade's your handle's black and the blade's black,
you can't find it.
I can't find the knife, and I lost one. I lost a Griptilian like last year just walking in Baldwin Park. So I went with a lighter one just because if I'm going to spend the money, and it was a gift from Andrea's dad.
Nice.
And my favorite knife, though, is the one that Andrea's dad gave me that belonged to her brother who passed away last year. And it's just a standard buck knife. It's really cool. So I think
got a lot of those flea market knives.
I think I got the knife.
I've killed a lot of time doing that butterfly knife.
Butterfly knives my mom would never let me have a butterfly knife. You're more of a Chinese star man, aren't you?
Yeah, I had tons of butterfly knives, and
oh yeah, then it was always who can open it the fastest, and who can be the most
learned.
Decorative.
Is that
really?
That's a Florida kid thing, right? The Chinese stars and butterfly knives.
I think that's the era that we grew up. Survival knives and all that was a lot of boys did that.
Survival. Did you guys have Rambo knives?
Absolutely, I had 10 of them.
Yeah.
Unscrew the top was a compass.
Inside you had matches, fishing line, thread, hook.
By the way, if you ever put me out in the woods with that thing, dead immediately. I'll slit my wrist with it.
The problem was giving me matches when I was 9. I had one of those when I was like 9 years old, and giving me matches at 9, and I lived in Georgia for a brief period of time then, and we lived in an apartment complex right on the edge of a river and woods, so it was like a playground for a 9-year-old. Boy,
I don't want to
with a survival knife
change topics. Totally,
do whatever you want.
But I want to ask you guys about this. I've been thinking at night lately about discipline, and I've been thinking of ways.
Your own discipline?
Yeah.
Like disciplining yourself?
Not disciplining someone.
Exercising self-discipline?
Exercising discipline. Because I never had it in my life. I never had discipline growing up or anything. So I lack in self-discipline to in a lot of things. And I really focus on being
I just envision you sitting down naked at the table and your wife putting a dog bowl in front of you, and you're like, like you're eating it.
I was thinking about the guy in the Da Vinci Code who's beating himself with the albino guy.
You do that.
You lack discipline. You lack discipline.
You do that.
I'm super hard on myself.
Most of us are. Most of us are, because we know ourselves best. You know how we know our faults most.
I am to anxiety, and people go like, "Why are you worried about that?" As he is to whipping himself.
Well, you should be better to yourself. Everybody should. You should treat yourself well.
So I've been contemplating, and I know like Seth is coming in. Seth's a big discipline guy, and I want to ask him.
He preaches about it on his Instagram. Like there's a post about self-discipline every week from that guy.
But
I'm a big self-discipline guy,
and I want to teach my son self-discipline because I think it's important. But one way, and I've heard people talk about this before, like right now it's colder in Florida, obviously, and my pool is super cold, and I've been toying with the idea of every morning forcing myself to get up and then jump in my freezing cold pool.
You will lose weight.
40 degrees.
Thermodynamics, you will lose weight from
I'm not even worried about losing weight.
But you will. I mean, that's a nice side effect.
And I know that there's mental, qualities that it can help you with. For instance, like there's all these studies about cold water immersion and sauna immersion, and how your brain releases chemicals because it shocks your system that thinks you're dying at first, and then whatever happens to your brain when your body freaks out.
I mean,
well, it's hard.
Have you ever tried it in the shower? Like I do it, but then, but I think sometimes, like I don't know if you have this, but sometimes I want to punish myself. Like I feel. Well, you do that. We were just talking about it, but like you're more of like
I've got journal pages where I wrote you lack discipline.
Like I over and over. I'll put the shower like really, really hot, like and do my showering everything. And at the end of most showers, I'll take the cold and I'll stare at the dial and I'll just it almost makes me like a psychopath. And I'll gradually stare at it while I'm turning it cold, and I try to stand still
Yeah.
The goal is to not is to stand still and stare it in the eyes, and then if I can get it as cold as I can take it, and then I count to 10 and then cut it off.
Yeah. Those things are good, I think, and the fact that
the pool though is a whole different level.
Well,
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little. Anyway,
in the morning,
the quote from Dune.
Well, there's one from I thought it was Mark Twain. Not to bring him up again, where fear and worrying is a creek or a river that will eventually dig a channel where it sucks up the usage of every other thought or something like that.
I just want to try to do something.
I do that. I do that all kinds of weird ways. Like if I eat food, like if I have a burger or whatever, I always leave a bite. I know that sounds crazy. I always do that. You know, the place you could do it is the gym. I mean, that's the best way
jumping in a pool, Steve.
To hone self-discipline is like set hard workout goals. I haven't done that in a long time either, and that's something I want to do this year. That's one of my resolutions.
And the working out thing, and I've lost.
That's the quote from Dune. It's I must not fear. Fear is the little mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. When the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain.
And it's not even scary. Doing something I'm afraid of. I'm motivated to do something that I don't want to do. And if I do something I don't want to do, really don't want to do, and get through that, then I feel like it makes you a better person little by little. It's like it's self-discipline. It's like, can I be disciplined enough to do this, even though everything about it I hate and I don't want to do, but I'm forcing myself to do it, and it could be anything. Like
taking pleasure away. Like if I were to say you cannot watch football the rest of the year.
Well, now
that would definitely be something you don't want to do.
True, but now you're getting into some sort of
you're just lowering your quality.
You should
of life.
do martial arts. I mean, that's exercising
right.
complete.
Oh man, I will make
discipline.
Fun of you.
I know, yeah,
so
I can't
bad.
do it. There's and
but you should do it so I can make fun of you.
I mean,
secretly go up to
all
the
of
jungle,
those things
I'm
go
taping
together.
You.
Like the working out, martial arts. I mean, it can transcend to every part
and
of your life.
that's all the stuff you don't want to do. Like all the
that's what you should do.
Okay, Steven's right, and you know what? I take it back. I wouldn't make fun of you, but.
I'll make fun of it. I can't.
You would make fun of it because the minute Seth Petrozelli over the jungle, the minute he brought you into his karate dojo area, and he's very serious about it to the point where we made jokes about karate, and he pulled us aside and said, "Hey man, not for nothing, you can joke about anything, but that's the one thing." I see, he draws the line at karate. Okay, I get it. That's his passion, but you wouldn't want to do all the form, the katas, right?
Yeah. Well, also I had no time to do any of that.
But even if you'd a half an hour,
but that's what discipline is. It's making the time to do certain things.
That's true.
Because it translates and makes more other parts of your life more efficient.
But yeah, you're right. But the thing is,
you will be more productive in other areas if you dedicate some time of the day to mindfulness and to self-discipline.
I know, but I need to do a small part, driving to some dojo. I mean, you're hours of day. Because people are like, "Oh, half an hour a day." Yeah, but
that's not true. You could do a couple of classes a week and then do stuff at home.
Yeah,
absolutely, you can do
hours of I don't have the time. Literally, they do this business is very time consuming, and then my
Seth come
it
here.
Could be as little or as much as you want,
and I'm not taking any time away from. I think doing something in the morning. Painful or miserable or whatever it is.
Are you doing push-ups every morning right now?
No, I'm not doing nothing.
He's good at push-ups though.
All this
I'll do it with you every
anything.
morning. You and I'll FaceTime you and we can do our.
Oh, this is what I like.
I'm not FaceTiming you in the morning.
All right, so it is settled.
The reason you do
FaceTime push-ups with Steve.
The reason you do it is to keep each other in check, to be like a buddy team.
It's accountability.
And I call you and I'm accountable to you, and we do it together. We do 50 push-ups or whatever every single morning. We do 10 minutes of a hard workout and then jump in the pool right after.
I'll do it. Steve, you ready to do push-ups?
I also...
Tom does push-ups naked.
I do too.
So he has a snake tail.
Should have never
lift it all the way off the concrete. Got to get it off the concrete.
Let's talk about your watch, Steve.
Yeah, let's close out with your watch because we're running out of time.
I broke down. I finally got a watch. Actually, one of our BDMs had one. The Batman GMT. I got it from Orlando Watch Company,
Nice.
and it was
Who
used.
had the
but
other one? Was it Rodney Bowe?
Yeah,
Rodney,
he had it. It was beautiful.
He's a psycho for the Rolexes, man.
He
That
is.
guy. Shout out to Rodney.
Well, it was out of production, out of print, so I picked one up, and I don't know how long I'll keep it, but I love it right now.
Why do they call it a Batman?
Because of
Colors.
the blue and black colors.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and they I like it. It's got an oyster bracelet. They have one. The only one that's in production now has a Jubilee bracelet, but they call that the Bat Lady, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would call it. I don't know how it got that nickname.
I gave my wife an oyster bracelet. That's all right.
That's,
yeah, but
What are we talking about? How much is that?
That's weird. How was
it
she
was
holding it? Like
it was
this?
good.
How much
It was a good deal.
What are we
It was
talking
good.
How is she holding it? I'm trying to,
You don't wanna know.
I'm trying to work the bracelet
It's
out.
real complicated.
What is this?
It's real complicated. It's
It was
more
good
than
investment.
That.
TC. It's about cost of ownership, not cost of acquisition.
What are we talking
What are we talking
It's
about?
and out of production. I don't know how long I'll wear it.
Give us a number.
6, 7.
Not saying.
Come on,
12,
Batman.
Yeah. What is
This town needs an enema. We got to plug some stuff and get out of
Yeah.
here, guys.
So now, Kramer, you're up for bidding right now for a football
That's right.
tournament.
You are indeed.
And
That deadline's coming quick.
I'm sure.
I'm going to do like a box of $250 of ship to shore stuff
Okay.
for sure,
Oh,
and then
damn.
I'll do some more sweeteners that I'll
Oh.
throw in the pot by
You can let-
Friday.
yeah, you
you
can
gave
let me
us
know.
some
We'll
stuff
put it
too.
on
I just refilled some ship to shore stuff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. Thank you for that. I
Of
appreciate
course.
that.
Yeah.
What
Absolutely.
about doing push-ups with the person that bids on you? FaceTime push-ups.
No, I'll do those with TC.
Okay.
What about if the person that bids on you? I mean, you could, as you're playing foot golf, he could ask you legal advice. And,
Okay, that's good.
That would be
Will
torture.
you bring a few of your swords out to the golf course?
No,
we
I
can,
don't want that.
whack
That
some of
would be
those
a
balls.
problem.
We
Cut those balls in half.
We had ceremonial chopping of the ball.
Yeah, the chopping of the balls. Yeah.
You get
I
up there,
throw it in the
full
air and then
kimono.
Steven has to chop it.
Yeah. Could you, with a
I'll
sharp...
give a
Could
Bushido
you?
press.
No way.
Could
right?
you play foot golf in a kimono, full white face? You got to
So,
be
geisha,
white face.
so as a
though.
geisha.
As a geisha,
Yeah. Tiny
But-
bound
but
feet.
as a-
That whole cultural appropriation thing,
But
I
as
would
a
never get away
gay
with that.
geisha, a geisha.
My wife explained to me cultural appropriation. I had no idea what it was. Or literally,
That's when you appreciate another culture, like when you eat spaghetti or bagels, or
You're doing
you
it
know.
right now, wearing your crisscross backwards jumpsuit
yeah.
from Cross Colors.
She was explaining to me in the car ride home, like
Yeah.
what it was, and I'm like, that's fine. Now I know that's
Like
wrong.
everyone who drives
Why do you know
a
that's wrong?
Silverado says.
I don't know. Her example to me was like she's like this girl that wore like a traditional Japanese dress to prom or something, and then everybody got mad because it wasn't her culture or whatever. And then I was like, fine.
Right.
Now,
Listen, it's one
I
thing-
know that's it's subjectively not fine to
Why
a lot
is
of
it
people.
I mean, it's
Well-
one thing to mock a culture; it's another thing to appreciate and pay tribute to it. I mean,
You could, you're right, but I mean, you can't tell what.
I mean, that's the beauty.
Someone not to get offended.
The perfect
about
example
something, but I'm like,
of that is music. There is no single culture of music. It is world. The music is world. You can't even trace, certain musical styles. And if you go, oh, that's from Caribbean or from Africa or whatever, what you'd find is no, it's not really. Music borrows from itself all the time and from each other, and that's part of the beauty of music is that oneness. We're all one. We're all together.
We need to get away from appropriation and get more into appreciation, dudes.
And by the way, I don't mean all cultural appropriation is fine. I'm just saying that example. I was like, I don't know all the other examples, and I'm sure there's a lot of bad ones. But
I think it was probably like with everything, intention and case by case.
You're so
yeah.
You
covering
just
it.
go case by case and intention.
What are you?
I
You're
think
so
all right.
covering yourself right now. That's so weird.
No. I just
Well,
people take the
he's
words out
wearing
of my
a
mouth.
sombrero right now.
You gotta have to.
I'm
The
pointing
blackface
at
of the
it.
sombrero is really, it's undermining your apology here.
Because I realized, I don't care.
Look like
about
the
it.
mayor of Mexico City.
But I realize people will take my words out of context and be like, Tom said all cultural
Well, if they're
appropriation
going to do
is
that,
fine.
they're going
I'm
to
like,
cut out your apology anyway. They're just going to put when you said blah, so you can't do it.
Also, only our listeners are listening, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world where you're only talking to your audience anyway.
Yep.
So except for everybody in the like ultra high media, like the national media, they're screwed because they can't say anything.
Nope.
They're getting in trouble, fired all the time for dumb and it doesn't matter. Like they're talking to a ton of randos that are out to get them.
Definitely got to. We definitely got to get out of here. Apologies.
Yeah.
OneFirmForLife.com for all of your legal needs. Anything you've been? What are you working on this week? What are you doing?
Some real estate, some probate, some estate planning.
Estate planning. You can assist with all of that. So and divorce.
I gotta write my trust.
Collaborative.
Ray does a lot of that.
Do that.
What's that?
No, I gotta get with Steven to write my damn trust.
I've been saying that for like 4 years, maybe longer. Actually, more like 8 years.
I keep hoping one day I'll die, and so I don't have to do it.
There you go. It's so boring. He does a whole show about stuff he doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
I hope to die.
Go sit in the trust meeting. That's pretty bad.
I hope I die before I have to write this stupid trust.
Yeah, that'd be a great exercise in discipline.
Tom Van died in a frigid pool this morning, trying to
having a heart attack from shocking his body.
Had a heart attack, trying to write his trust.
That doesn't happen, right? My wife said that. She's like, "Don't give yourself a stroke." I'm like, "That's urban legend."
My dad used to do that. He'd go in the sauna. He'd get in there like sweating, like turning bright red from all the sweat, and then he'd dive into the pool.
Yeah.
That seems like a bad idea.
The Swedes do that.
Our kids do that with the jacuzzi. They're in the jacuzzi and they go jump in the pool.
Yeah,
it's fine.
That's pretty close. All right.
OneFirmForLife.com. Guys, thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.